Okay, now we're going to practice some different ways to add shadows into your work using pen. Now, we don't have pencil. We're only going to be making an ink drawing. So how are you going to blend and shade with a marker? How you're going to do that is by using some of the techniques that artists use when they're trying to add shadows in their work, if they have any kind of marker or pen. So typically these are done when you're creating an ink drawing. There's many different ways. There's hatching, cross hatching, contour hatching, scumbling, and stippling. We're just going to be practicing 2 or 3 of these, 2 of them up here and 1 down here. Now, what you're going to do is create a scale, and a value scale is when you're practicing creating shades that go from light to dark. I only did a 3 value scale, but if you want to do more in between those, you can. So the first one to create is hatching. So if you're looking up here, hatching is when you have lines that go kind of at an angle. So for the first box, I always tell friends less is more. You cannot erase this. So if you go in too much on the first box, you cannot fix it later. So for the first box, pushing lightly on my pen, I'm just going to do a little bit of hatching. So you should see a lot of the white background in the box. In the second box, I'm going to go in and I'm going to build up with some more hatching. I'm going to have overlapping going on, lines going on top of each other, and I'm going to keep building until this looks like it's darker than this one. Now it kind of looks different right now from this one, but I'm not quite seeing it still a lot, so I'm going to go in a little bit more. And I'm being very gentle with my marker. All right, so I definitely see a difference from this one to this one. So now in the last box, you're gonna do your darkest value. So for this one, I'm gonna do a lot of hatching. So if I'm looking between the two, they don't quite look different. So I'm just gonna keep building. Great, so now that one looks different. So you should have a light, medium, and dark value with hatching. Now cross hatching is similar. You don't have to do this on your paper, but you start out going in this direction. With cross hatching, you go the opposite way as well. So that kind of looks like this one right here. So let's say in your project, maybe you want to use cross hatching. How that works is you just build up with lines in the opposite direction as well, like this. But for this paper, we are only doing the one direction. So now this one is scumbling, and I kind of call scumbling, reminds me of scribbles. It's very loose. Remember that first box, you should see a lot of the white or negative space. Then the second box, you're not gonna see as much. So notice I'm just kind of doing loop-de-loop kind of scribbles. This is nice for like hair or any kind of texture. So that looks different than that. And then the third box has to be your darkest. Perfect. Okay, now the last one we're going to do very similar to the circle here. One edge of your circle is going to be the shadow. And what this is called is stippling. So how you do stippling is you want to push really light is by doing dots. Now, to make it look rounded, your shadow should kind of go kind of in a curve like this. And we're going to leave one end as a hot spot, which is where the light is hitting it. So what we're gonna do, notice how, I'm being very gentle. You do not wanna slam the marker when you're using it. I'm just kind of dotting. Now stippling is nice and very detailed. You can get a huge range with it. However, it is very time consuming. So then in the middle of that stippling, I'm gonna do a lot of it until it's about a medium. And then around here, the farthest from the source light is gonna be the darkest.